Republican Florida Congressman Michael Waltz. He's also a former Green Beret commander and a former White House and Pentagon policy advisor. The perfect expert to have on this topic, Congressman. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Gillian.
So there is this Hi, sir. So there is this ongoing investigation now into what China's government knew, when they knew it, and how much they tried to cover up during the earliest days of the outbreak. What's your take on what's unfolding?
Well, Gillian, I think this is part of a much bigger picture here. And what we're dealing with, to be clear, is the Chinese Communist Party, not the Chinese people. The Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, are not our friends. They seek to dominate the world. They seek a new world order with America subservient to China. This is not my words. These are their words and their leadership's words. And they're trying to do it economically and through technology than before they dominate us militarily. How are they doing that? Three ways. Number one, they've infiltrated our university systems. These students and these research professors are forced to vacuum up technology and send it back to the Chinese military. Number two, they're doing it through cyber, either through the ability to attack our infrastructure or to steal our intellectual property. And then number three, and this is what I'm so worried about in the wake of COVID, is they're actually buying up distressed American companies that are going bankrupt in key technology sectors and stealing the technology that way. We have to put a stop to this, and I've introduced legislation in all three of those areas. But we have to, Gillian, this should be a wholesale rethink of how we treat the Chinese Communist Party. We need to think about them like the Soviet Union, and that we are in a Cold War, and the wake of all of this is going to be part of that.
You know, in some ways, what you're saying there is a sort of terrifying prospectus that you've laid out, but in some ways, doesn't this pandemic bring China's goals closer to hand? I mean, the Chinese Communist Party has been dreaming of an economic depression in the West like this for decades. They could hardly imagine anything better for their own purposes, right?
That's right. Back to the economic warfare. They are perfectly happy for us to go another $5 trillion in debt and again to dominate us economically. Meanwhile, they're around the world through their diplomats and security services blaming the United States through their propaganda machine, and then providing aid for, it's like providing a bucket of water for the fire that they started, but it's coming with strings attached to Africans, to Europeans, and others in the form of, we'll give you this aid, but you have to sign up to our technology and our infrastructure backbone through the Belt and Road Initiative. That's how they're dominating the UN, the World Health Organization, and other things. So this is playing right into their hands.
Now, you and some of your colleagues on the Hill are working on this legislation that's going to try to kind of push back against some of the advances that the Chinese government's making, capitalizing essentially on this pandemic. One of the things you've been talking about is you want to stop U.S. troop retirement funds from going to the Chinese military. Sounds a little unbelievable, but tell us what's going on.
Believe it or not, the federal retirement system that the entire U.S. military, me included as a National Guardsman, contributes to every month is investing in Chinese companies and is on the verge of investing in the Chinese stock exchange. These are companies that are oppressing the Uyghur Muslim people, that are building the Chinese defense industry, and that are doing all kinds of nefarious things in terms of espionage around the world. Yet, believe it or not, the billions of dollars that the U.S. military is contributing to their retirement account is going right into these companies. Here's the kicker. The board overseeing the entire thing is full of Obama-era appointees. So I'm calling on the administration to change these people out. We have to put our foot down, and we should no more be doing this than we would invest in Russian companies that were aiding the Soviet Union in the middle of the Cold War with the Soviets. Again, that's how us, Wall Street, our government, the American people have to start thinking about this.
Right. Well, Congressman Michael Waltz, we've got to leave it there. Thanks for providing some much-needed perspective on the national security implications of all of this. We will check back with you again soon, sir, if you will give us the opportunity. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Gillian, and we'll keep up the fight.